Hi, everyone, and a very good afternoon to all of you. Thanks so much for joining us today. I hope your Thursday is going well. My name is Sandy Elson, and on behalf of the travel professional community and homebasedtravelagent.com, I want to welcome all of you to the webinar, and thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us today. Our host for today's webinar is Flight Center Associates, and our speaker for Flight Center is Lee Zanello. Lee's topic today is time for a checkup. How healthy is your business? And this is obviously a very important topic for all of us. Lee Zanello has been with Flight Center for 13 years and has worked extensively in both the retail side and in training and recruitment. For the last 3 years, Lee has been working with Flight Center Associates, Flight Center's host agency solution for independent contractors. Flight Center Associates, or FCA, has been around for the last 9 years and is a large focus for the Canadian Flight Center organization with nothing but growth on the horizon. Before we get started, please remember that you are all muted, but we welcome your questions. You can type in your questions at any time in the question area you see on the right-hand panel of your screen. At the end of Lee's presentation, we'll get to as many questions as we can. Also, at the end of the presentation, Lee will very generously be giving away a $50 Visa gift card to one lucky agent who has been paying attention during the entire webinar. I'll tell you more about this after our questions and answers. But just a hint, you may want to take some notes during Lee's presentation. So let's get right to all of this exciting information about the health of our travel business. Welcome, Lee.
Hi, Sandy. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for having me today. All right, let's get going. I do want to start by thanking everyone who's taken the time out of their business. It's a busy time, so I understand that this is time that is hopefully going to be well spent for you. We will be talking a little bit about doing a health check on your business and how that relates to your core needs and your core values. And I'll be bringing some real examples into it of how things work with Flight Center and Flight Center Associates, and hopefully being able to give some examples that you can take away and put into your own business as well. So without further ado, let's get started here. With every presentation, there needs to be a chart and a graph, so I figured we would get this one over with on the first slide and get it over with, make it as simple as possible as well. As I said, busy season is here. This simple graph shows that inquiries and bookings are on the rise, and as we kind of say in the industry, it's time to make hay while the sun shines. And I know that a lot of us can be very guilty at this time of year when the inquiries are just nonstop, when there's a lot of interest in travel, that we can be guilty of just kind of doing a head-down approach, just trying to get through it, just trying to survive these months, making sure that everybody's tickets are accurate, that they're going to the right places, and that everybody's just looked after as well. I think it's probably at this time of year that it's more important than ever that we slow down, because at this time of year, when you have more business, it actually means more opportunity for your business. And we're big believers in Flight Center, and I'm a big believer of taking time periodically to reassess where your business is at, where you want it to be, and what can you be doing on a daily basis that speaks to those goals, so that at the end of the year, or in times of the year where the business drops off a little bit, you're putting yourself in the best position possible to successful, profitable business. One of the measurements that we use in Flight Center, and that I'm suggesting today, is adhering to the core values that are at the root of your business, why you started this business, why you continue to do it day after day, year after year, and use your adherence to your core values as that consistent measurement over time of how your business is actually performing. So let's start off with what is a core value. What are we talking about when we use this term? Value, well, it's a belief, it's a mission, a philosophy. It's something that's meaningful to you, and each one of us has a core set of personal values, and they may differ. There may be differences amongst us, but knowing what you truly hold dear and why you started your own business and what you want to put into your business is what we want to get at before the end of this WebEx is done. Implementing your core values into your business can energize everything concerned with the core values. It really does bring a sense of clear direction to you. And when we talk about independent business owners, your values form the cornerstone of how you behave. And often that's how others will judge you, is your behaviors. So really being able to pinpoint what your values are will help dictate that behavior. They act like a compass. They provide guidance for solving problems. And living your values allow you to accomplish your goals and your dreams. I really, truly believe that. Identify your values, live by them, and your goals and dreams will be realized. And to sum it all up, this is a fantastic quote because we use this all the time. It's a really simple way to do a health check on your business. It's not hard to make decisions when you know what your values are. If you're not in tune with what your values are, anytime you have to make a business decision, so whether it's, what product are you looking at selling, what marketing are you wanting to do, anything to do with your business, if you're not able to align them to a standard set of values, you're in the same position every single time of basically starting from scratch. Assessing the situation, trying to figure out the best course of action, it can be a little bit of a haphazard approach. And if you know what your values are, suddenly making those decisions becomes a lot easier in time. So we tend to do this on a quarterly basis in Flight Centre, where pretty much every quarter we assess our values and we do a little bit of work around them and see what are we doing well and what could be improved upon. And we'll talk about that methodology as well, because I believe it's a methodology that can translate very well to you and your independent business. So what are our values at Flight Centre? Flight Centre Travel Group, FCTG, have 5 core values that we try to adhere to. Now, it's important. I will read through all of these. I will read through the slide, and I'll speak to each one in a little bit more detail as well. Our first value is our people. Our company is our people. You talk to anybody that works in any branch of Flight Centre, whether it is the retail division, corporate, the independent contractors, the first thing they will tell you that they value most about the organization is the support they have and the people that they work with. So our value, our company is our people. We care for our colleagues' health and well-being, their personal and professional development, and their financial security. We believe that work should be challenging and fun for everyone, and through work we contribute to our community. Something we very much hold dear, and it's hard to talk about the values and kind of put them in a 1 to 5, because when you read values from 1 to 5, it means we value our people more than everything else, and in some cases that may be true, but we don't value our people necessarily more than our customer. The nature of lists is one has to come before the other. So let's look at number 2, our customer. We recognize that our customers always have a choice. We care about personally delivering amazing travel experiences. This is provided with honesty, integrity, and a great attitude. It is the key to our company's success, the key measure of whether we are personally providing our customers with an amazing experience, an amazing product, and a very caring service, is that they will return again and again. And this is probably one of the best examples of how we use our values to guide company decisions. If we're looking at a new marketing campaign, a new system that we want to put in place, perhaps a new offering or a new product offering that we want to put out to the market, probably one of the first questions we ask ourselves all the time is, what will this do for the customer experience? Is it going to be an amazing experience? Is it actually an amazing product? Can it be delivered with care? And if the answer to all 3 of those things is yes, we move ahead with it. If somebody has an idea, we're a large organization and very open with free-flowing information, free-flowing ideas, but if the idea doesn't adhere to these things and doesn't provide a better customer service, we either don't do that or we retool it until it does. So this is a good example of what I'm talking about using your core values as a key marker when making business decisions. And one of our best ones probably is dictated by the customer experience we provide. Number 3, brightness of future. We believe our people have the right to belong to a team, also known as a family, a village, an area, also known as a tribe, and a nation that has a certain hierarchy attached to that will provide them with an exciting future and a supportive working community. They also have the right to see a clear pathway to achieving their career goals. Promotion and transfer from within will always be our first choice. I'm going to speak to this brightness of future in a few moments, because on first glance, it might seem like this applies more to our employee strategy. So everyone that's in our retail or corporate divisions, and not necessarily to an independent contractor. And I'll talk to exactly that in a moment, because this is something that we are working on in the Flight Centre Associate space. So we'll come back to the brightness of future bit in a moment. Number 4 is probably the most important core value that I hold personally, and that is taking responsibility. When it comes to working with people, obviously there will be mistakes made. There will be people who have things happen to their business, that things don't go down the right path. And it really is the case with people that work with us in associates, with people that work with us in Flight Centre, that if you're someone who externalizes or always tries to push the blame or point the finger to someone else, you tend not to do as well in our organization. Our organization thrives on people taking responsibility over their actions, over their outcomes, and working hard towards a solution. So we take full responsibility for our own successes or failures. We do not externalize. We accept that we have total ownership and responsibility, but not always control. as a company, we recognize and celebrate our individual and collective successes. I was speaking with a graduate school graduating class at a travel college recently, and we kind of went around the room. And one of the biggest fears that everyone had, and maybe if you can bring yourself back to when you maybe didn't know as much or didn't have the practical experience under you, you're about to head out into the real world for the first time, you had that fear around making a mistake. And what if we booked someone to the wrong hotel, and what if we made a mistake on their name? And I was able to, share a few of my own war stories. I worked on the front lines and made a few doozies myself, and I lived to tell the tale. I've got some battle scars, but at the end of the day, what we preach in the company is that you're not judged by the mistakes that you make, you're judged by how you handle them. So when we look at our core values and when we look at people coming to join our company, probably taking responsibility is one of the ones that we put at the preeminent future, and we ask for people for examples of maybe times when they had this in the past. So a very important one to me personally and to the company as well. And lastly, we value egalitarianism and unity. In our company, we believe that each individual should have equal privileges and rights. In all our countries and all our businesses, there should be no them and us. And there's really no better example currently than our Flight Centre Associates business. Over the last number of years, the independent contractor side of the Flight Centre business, our host agency, has grown leaps and bounds. And I think that what maybe once existed 5, 6, 7 years ago of, well, that's the independence and we're retail and over here we have corporate, all of that has really eroded away, and we really do operate as one family. And we know that the success and profitability of one branch of the business or one group of people in the business is a benefit to everybody. So the egalitarianism and unity is something that we're practicing pretty much every day. So that just gives you a sense of what our values are. We'll talk about maybe in a few moments trying to identify what your values are for your business. But let's take a look at what we do. Once we know what our values are, let's have a few examples now around what we do with those values. So there's a very simple tool. We're not reinventing the wheel here. Flight Centre, simple, it works very well for us. Something called the SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis just helps identify the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats around any given aspect of your business. And so what I tend to do quarterly around the Flight Centre Associates business is I look at those values that we hold really true, and I look at how we're performing in each of them. And I say, well, what are we doing well? Where are our opportunities? And we kind of perform a bit of a SWOT analysis. And I'll tell you about a couple of things the actions that we're actually taking right now. The first one has to go back to that brightness of future piece I talked about a moment ago, that value. I realized probably around September or October that we weren't doing a whole lot providing a brightness of future for our independent contractors. Without them being employees, it might seem like a hard thing to do, but we really went back to our roots as a company and really looked at that family and village and tribe structure. And it struck myself and the whole team that's responsible for the home-based agents here, it struck us that there is a huge opportunity when you have independent contractors and people who are kind of out there doing this on their own. Well, we could probably be doing more on the basis of forming smaller groups of people throughout the country where you could have mutual support, mutual cooperation, more support for your business, a networking opportunity so that you're not feeling so much alone. And we actually started to implement this at our conference that we held in Los Cabos last year in November, where we brought back this book called Family Village Tribe. There's a little blurb here I won't read necessarily, but about the book. But the Family Village Tribe philosophy is basically what Flight Centre is built upon. And it's what has allowed Flight Centre to grow exponentially, to expand, to be scalable by making what seems to be a large company and a large organization still feel very intimate, very family-oriented, very directly supportive, so that, in our company, you don't feel like a number, you don't feel like a T4 that is just, a login somewhere. Basically, what you feel like is you're a part of something larger than yourself, and it speaks to that core need. We'll talk about core needs in a few moments as well. But I realized that we could do a little bit more with the Family Village Tribe idea with our independent contractors. So when we did our SWOT analysis, what we started to do is started to implement families and villages across the country. So usually this is largely geographically based, so that smaller groups of agents can get together for product trainings, for things like wedding shows, market opportunities, that sort of thing. And we've actually even implemented a village leader, also known as a regional leader, which is a role that it's not an employee role. It's basically somebody that has been given so much by Flight Centre and Flight Centre Associates that they want to give back to the community. And these regional leaders are responsible for larger groups of families, bringing people together for trainings, product training, helping our new associates acclimate towards Flight Centre systems, making that onboarding process or that transfer process from another agency that much smoother. So I'm telling you all of this because this is an example of us analyzing our business. And yeah, we're doing things pretty good, but you know what? Here on this core belief, we could probably be doing things a little bit better. Another aspect and belief that we're working on is taking full responsibility for our own success or failure. And especially this last part, as a company, we recognize and celebrate our individual and collective successes. Flight Centre is a large company, and I was realizing that as Flight Centre associates, sometimes the individual successes and the individual profitable businesses of the agents that we run, sometimes they were getting a little overshadowed by some of the larger aspects of the business. And that's something that was easily fixed. So again, last year was the first year that we basically came up with our Gala Awards, which sounds like a simple idea. It's just not something we'd ever done before in Flight Centre Associates, where at conference now every year, we reward, we recognize across a number of categories agents who are doing just a spectacular job. So whether you're a top seller, if you're a top seller, you're definitely recognized as well for your sales, but we also wanted to recognize people who were contributing to the culture. So we have something called the Rising Stars Award, where our new associates who really are coming on board and really adapting to Flight Centre, taking on that change, and they might not be the highest sellers necessarily, but they're people who have really grasped what we're trying to achieve, and they're in it full head on. Similarly, we recognize people who are contributing to that village and that tribe and that family atmosphere, and recognizing those who are doing more to help support those around them. So it's a very simple little idea, but when I was looking at those core values and when we look at the SWOT analysis around them, I was like, okay, we could probably be doing a little bit more to reward and recognize. And it was the first year that we've done it, and the number of people who now know what categories we're looking at, it's something that feeds into itself, and we have so many more people now giving back into the program and offering that sort of support, not necessarily driven by the recognition, but a little recognition never hurt anybody, as I think we can all agree. So this is just an example of the next stage. So we know what our values are. We do a little bit of a SWOT analysis on them, and then we need to take some action. And this is where we need a little bit of discipline. And a culture of discipline is a great quote by James C. Collins. If you've not read any of his works, from good to great, he's really got a really good pinhead of an idea that can help you bring your business up to the next level. And this part around discipline, culture of discipline is not a principle of business, it is a principle of greatness. It's all well and good to know what our values are and to talk maybe the softer side of the business, but how does this actually get implemented on a day-to-day basis? And honestly, we are very disciplined in our business. We put this in a business plan. We broke down our key business drivers, so the KBDs on the left-hand side, just in different areas of the business. We have a director, so someone on our teams who is in charge of each of those areas. And then every 90 days, we have a specific plan of attack. So when we go back and we look at the SWOT analysis of what we actually need to accomplish around adhering to our core values, this is that third step, the actual action around this. And to really put some goals, timelines, that sort of thing, so that we know that we've been successful. So again, just sharing some of the strategy around here, and I think that some of this is very relatable. Again, I'm trying to bring it right back to running your business right now in these busy times, head down just trying to get through inquiry after inquiry. Are there things that you could be doing with each inquiry, with each post-travel, with each prior to travel, just before they leave? Are there things that you could be implementing that would adhere to your core values that basically overall provide a better experience for your customer and thus ensuring more longevity for you and your business? So that's kind of the metrics of how we work. So again, to reiterate, more business means more opportunity for your business. And now let's look at perhaps some examples of values. I'm going to leave this up here for a moment, and it's going to be one of those awkward WebEx online training moments where there's no one talking, because I really would love for you guys to just have a quick look. This is a smattering of values. This doesn't encompass everything, but have a look and try to pick 5 or 6 values that speak to you. If you don't get through this exercise in this time we have today, that is absolutely fine. If this is recorded, you can come back and visit this. But I'm going to leave it silent here for just a moment as we work through these words and go with your gut feeling. What speaks to you the most? Jot those words down, and that'll form the basis of what we do next. give everybody just a few more moments. There's a lot of words on here, and there's probably a lot that do resonate with you. As we're thinking, I will share one that just stands out to me on this list, and that is humor. It's not necessarily one that it makes our top 5 core values as a company, but having a sense of humor and working with people who can have a sense of humor, it makes everything to do with business just a lot easier. So that one stands out to me. Let's move on here. So we've got our core values, or an idea of what a few of them might be. So your next step, and we won't go through this in real time today because everybody's going to need some time with this, but the next step is to do a SWOT analysis around those core values. Have a look at what you're doing right now, day to day in your business, and use those core values that we've just identified and look at, are you doing them well? What are your strengths right now? What are you good at doing? What are your weaknesses? Where is there some room for some opportunity? And what external obstacles do you face to be able to really hold true to the values that you have? And I think that once you have an idea of your SWOT analysis, you know it starts to become clear some of the actions that you need to take. And that's fine. You might be scribbling some notes down now. You might jot them down on a little sticky note. I know some people who live and die by the sticky note, regardless of how many people can tell them that the sticky note is not a permanent way to do business. One of the best things that I can recommend then is for you to have some sort of organizational plan, a business plan that sits at you with your desk day in and day out whenever you're sitting there doing your work. My business plan is always to my left-hand side. I can reach and see it at any moment. And it really does help as a reminder, as a guide of the things that really truly matter. The day-to-day, don't get me wrong, that advanced seat selection, that room upgrade, that thing that you need to do for your client is incredibly important for that customer experience. But it's also important to have a handle on the overall direction of your business and to have these overarching ideas, not just be something you write down once and not look at. These should be things that are lived and breathed, at least on a weekly basis. I look at our business plan. So now we've got a bit of a sense, maybe not in the last 5 minutes of real time, but at least some tools have been presented here for how you can identify what your core values are, how you can assess the action that you need to take, and then actually writing that action down, putting some goals and measurements in place, and then revisiting that on a regular basis, and definitely revisiting it every 90 days to see if new actions need to be taken. Because as you focus on one core value and start to pour effort into that business, your business will always fluctuate. You may find that something else dips. And that's the case. There's a lot to do in the world. There's a lot to do with the business that we run in. So it's important to revisit this every 90 days and just make sure you're picking up the pieces that might be feeling a bit of drag at other times. So where do we go from here? Again, we've got our core values. We've done all of that. The last step is to really acknowledge the aspects that you don't control. So everything that we've done right now, we've talked about the aspects that you have control over. But if you think back to one of our core values, we also recognize that we don't always have control over everything. And so it's important to maybe see if your external needs are actually being met as well. When we look at human needs psychology, so this is a theory developed by Tony Robbins, who I'm sure everyone here has heard of. There are 6 fundamental needs that basically govern us. Now, everybody has these needs, but the priority varies from person to person. So unlike the core values, this is something that you can definitely put in a bit of a pecking order as to what makes the most importance for you. And we'll go through what these needs are, a little bit more about them. I'll share personally what some of my core needs are now and how I've changed over the last little while. And it's important for this sort of analysis to be done for yourself as well, because again, it will lead to direction and actions that need perhaps to be changed. Number 1, the need for certainty. We all have a need for certainty, safety, stability, and predictability in our lives. We like to feel secure in our jobs, in our homes, and in our relationships. Some people pursue this need by striving to control all aspects of their lives, and I think we know who those people are, including the projects they run and the people who work for and with them. They want to know that projects will work out as planned and that people will complete their assignments by the agreed deadline. So when you're working for yourself and you have your own business, sometimes the delicate balance is when we don't have certainty, we tend to have a bit of a panic and can get stressed out. But when things get too certain, we can feel bored and unmotivated. And I think that there's probably a number of us who can kind of identify with this idea that, maybe you don't need to have everything absolutely planned out, but all of us need a certain skeleton or framework to work off of, where we know where the next paycheck's coming from, we know where our bills are coming from, where our next vacation fund is coming from. We all need a little bit of that certainty. So wherever certainty appears on your list of core needs, up to you. Variety. So this is the flip side, as I was just saying. Just as we want certainty, we also crave change, excitement, and new stimuli. Variety makes us feel alive and engaged. People who work in change management do so because of the inherent variety it provides. These projects are temporary by nature, and the uncertainty level is for the most part tolerable because we know, more or less, the project's expected end date and what might happen afterwards. So, flip side to the certainty side of things, too much variety can make us jittery and fearful because we don't know what's coming next. But not enough variety can lead us to the boredom and the feeling of being stuck in a rut. If there's one thing that we all know working in the travel industry, change is everywhere. It's one of the constants, actually. Pretty much the only constant in our industry is that there will be change. And I think that's what excites and energizes us so much. As one of the I don't want to call them kids, but one of the guys in the college that I spoke to recently said, one of the things that appeals to him about this industry is that he'll never stop learning. I recently celebrated my 13th anniversary with Flight Centre, and I spent the day in a training classroom listening to some senior level vice presidents talk about the strategy and the business, and I was scribbling notes down on paper just as I was basically in that almost the same room 13 years earlier. And it's true, you never stop learning in this business. So variety, we're all attracted to this business in some way or another because it's never boring. Significance, core need that we all feel. Deep down, we all want our work to have meaning, importance, and significance. It's no fun going to a job where you feel like your existence there has little to no impact. When we work at a job with a team that makes us feel like we matter, we do better work, stay motivated, and take more accountability for the work we do. We say it all the time in our company that travel really does make the world go round. Every business that needs to do business elsewhere travels. We facilitate travel for business meetings. We facilitate travel to areas where tourism is the main source of income for people. We really do interconnect this globe. The work we do matters, the work we do is important, and it's always important to take a step back and remind ourselves of this, that we do important work. So this need for significance can affect people in a variety of ways. Very good to the very bad. Some are driven to help others, from acts of humanitarianism to simply mentoring and encouraging team members on the job. And that's a really good example that we're seeing right now in our business of people who are giving back to the community within the associates world and really taking on more responsibility with no extra pay or extra, recognition even necessarily. They're doing it because it makes them feel good to mentor others. However, the other side of the balance is others put people down to elevate themselves, or they get overly competitive. So if there's too much emphasis placed on significance, you can try and find those people who are trying to work their way up the pecking order. Again, in our company, with our values the way they are, that's not something that is usually rewarded as well as those who are more altruistic in their behaviors. Connection. Everybody strives for a level of connection and affiliation with people around them and wants to be a part of a larger community. We want to be cared for and feel a closeness with like-minded people, be it friends, family, colleagues, or an online community. And I'll repeat that one of the strengths that we have is that we've brought a number of like-minded people together under one large corporate umbrella. But because everybody is of a similar mindset and has the similar value set, we find that it just really does help. My success is your success, and I'm also there to help prop you up if things should go poorly. So here's the other part of this. If we are connected 100% of the time and part of a team or project or culture, it will likely encroach on our need for uniqueness and vice versa. So I might want to be connected, but I also want to retain a little bit of my individuality. Many people feel this conflict in that they want to be part of a team community, but at the same token, they need to differentiate themselves and stand out. So when we look at that from an independent contractor point of standing, it's actually works itself out very, very well, because we talk all the time, becoming an independent contractor with Flight Centre, we don't suddenly rule your game. You don't have to be Flight Centre, Flight Centre, Flight Centre. You don't have to use our branding. There's no targets, there's no quotas, there's no one breathing down your neck for sales. You can use as little or as much of our brand as you like, so that you can feel that connection to something larger than yourself, but at the same time remain your own independent business. And if that means retaining your own branding and the client base who knows you as a different brand, we are absolutely fine and flexible with that. So at the same time, being able to offer you that connection. We kind of call it the best of both worlds. where you are your own business, but you've got all the benefits that you need of working for a large organization. Number 5 is growth. As human beings, we all have a need to grow and expand in our personal and professional lives. Some people aim to reach a certain position or maybe a certain target financially or a particular lifestyle, but when they get there, they become stagnant and unhappy because they're no longer growing. I think we all probably know someone who's like this, who's always wanting that next thing, and we congratulate them when they get that thing, that promotion, that new car, but then pretty soon they're twiddling their thumbs again because they're suddenly not happy because they're not growing. There's no, they got what they wanted, but now there's a new thing that they want. And we all want that growth at some sort of balance or another. So you've made it to that next stage of success. Hey, congratulations. The problem now is settling into that plateau. You want to take a rest from learning and growing, but still you wrestle with an intrinsic desire to do so at the same time. Bottom line is we always want something to strive for, something that will challenge us to grow and expand. And lastly, as a core need, as human beings, we have a desire to contribute something of value, whether it's manifested through community, family, society, or through the project work that we do. So the delicate balance of some of the work that we do, they have a very worthy cause and may help to make the world a better place to live. But when we are head down in the details, we may not always see that. Another reason why it's good to take a step back, slow down, look at what impact your business is having, and recognize and celebrate the success that you have and that you've accomplished. Here we have our 6 core needs. And I'll ask you now, in those 6, to give them a ranking. Rank your needs now 1 through 6. Use your first response, gut instinct. This is not something that should take 10, 15 minutes. There's no right or wrong answer. Tomorrow you can turn around and change your answer. That's absolutely fine. And just remember that what you rank as first now may not have been first 6 months ago and may not be first 6 months from now. I will tell you about 6.5 years ago, certainty wasn't necessarily that high on my list. 6.5 years ago, I really thrived in a sense of a variety was important. Connection was important to me. Growth was important to me. And then something happened 6.5 years ago. Well, gave birth to a little girl, didn't we? So suddenly that need for certainty goes up a bit in the pecking order, because when you, as anyone who has kids knows, as soon as that enters your life, there's suddenly a lot more at stake, and certainty starts to move up the chain a bit. So rank these 6 right now. Again, I'll give you about 30 seconds to a minute. Use your gut instinct, and know that the changes you're making, or the decisions you're making right now, are in no way permanent. Okay, that should be enough time for everyone to count to 6. I know there's some of you who will want to give it more thought, so you absolutely have time after this session with them to do so. So now I ask you, look at your top 3, the top 3 that you've just written down there. So if you only got to 3, good, you can do this next step. And ask yourself the following 2 questions. Are these needs being met currently in my business? If the answer is yes, great. Fantastic. You're in a business, you're in a position, in a situation in your life where your external needs are being met, which means all of your focus can be placed back to your core values and the things that you have control over to bring your business to the next level. Now, the second question is very important. If your needs are not being met, your top 3 needs, if they are not being met, what needs to change to have them met? And that may be something that might be fearful to people. If you're looking at a top need and coming to the realization now that, hang on, wait a minute, this isn't necessarily being met right now, that can have a degree of fear to it. And this quote stands out to me when I look at that change can be scary. But you know what's scarier? Allowing fear to stop you from growing, evolving, and progressing. And we talk about it all the time, how change is a constant. And sometimes you have to be the driver of your own change. If you are in an independent contractor position, you are a home-based agent, you are running your own business, there's no one that's going to come at you and say, hey, this needs to change. This is on you to take the time out of your business to be able to work on your business and really focus on those things that will bring your business to the goals that you want to see happen for it. So we've come across, our core values. We've looked at the core needs. I've given some examples of how Flight Center works. We're coming close to the time here now where we're going to do a few Q&As. So if you haven't hammered out a few questions yet through the chat, please do so, because I'm very interested in answering questions here. And just at the end, just a few final questions as you're recapping yourself. How healthy was your business? Are your needs all being met? Excellent. As you take more time to do the SWOT analysis around your core values, are you strength to strength to strength? Fantastic. You know what? Keep going. Sometimes our business, we've got all cylinders firing off at the same time and things are just going great. So maybe this is 90 days where you don't have to do a whole lot. Still check in 90 days on your business to make sure that you're as healthy as you can be. Is your business keeping in line with your core values? And lastly, are there any changes needed to get your business to where you want it to be? Hopefully we've done some information there that you find useful and valuable. Sandy, I don't know if there are any questions so far. Happy to take any questions that are coming in.
Thank you, Lee. That was absolutely incredible information, very comprehensive and very, very important for each of us. As you'll see when you get our report, there are several compliments coming in for your presentation. Again, agents, if you have any questions, now is a good time to type them into the question area on the right-hand panel of your screen. Lee, what is your recommendation? That there's so much comprehensive information here about how to keep track of what's going on with our business. What's your recommendation for sort of sitting down and attending to all of these details? Do you recommend that agents do it on a regular basis or just when there's a major impact in their lives or in their business, like you mentioned, having a child? What can you say about scheduling a SWOT analysis, for example?
That's good. I mean, when we talk about scheduling to answer this question, let's really keep in mind that the needs of the business will often jump in, and you know, you've got a client at the airport that needs help. You've got the needs of the business will often jump in. So when we say schedule, don't be such a stickler that you can't allow for some flexibility on that schedule. The general method that we do is a 90-day. Every 90 days we do a bit of an assessment on this. We typically do it quarterly in the year because it also tends to fall nicely within the seasonality of the industry that we're in. You know, January to March is a very different time seasonality in Canada and the US than it is April to June. The summer months are a different ball of wax entirely, and then fall through the beginning of winter is gearing up for that next busy season at the start of the year. So looking at it from a quarterly perspective, and usually within the first 4 to 5 weeks of a quarter, doing that 90-day analysis, that's looking at your core values, doing a bit of a SWOT analysis around them is probably a good general time to do it. But then the real key comes to the discipline of the business plan. And at that time that you're doing your SWOT analysis and you craft that business plan, that's where you need to be looking at that business plan, I would say almost on a weekly basis. Because as important as the day-to-day is, it's very easy to get off track on some of the key things. And we're talking sometimes, you know, we've done a business plan and it's been the simplest, littlest idea that we never thought of before that just can have such a resounding impact. But as we all know, it takes, you know, 3-4 weeks to create a habit. So having that weekly touch base with your business plan until it becomes habit, suddenly that drops off your business plan. It's now been fully implemented into your day-to-day routine. And you know what? You're about 3 weeks away from doing another 90-day assessment. So it's important to probably look at the business plan weekly and the SWOT analysis every quarter or so.
Okay, excellent. A couple of our agents are asking if there is a website they can go to get more information or to download things like the 6-month plan that you showed.
There isn't. We don't really have that available. I mean, that's a really silly little spreadsheet. Honestly, it's just an Excel sheet that I've devised with the metrics that work for our business. So when we break down our key business drivers into the realm of marketing or product or finance or that sort of thing, that's what works for Flight Centre. It's really just coming up with a chart on your own that works for you. It can be a Word document, it can be anything. There's really no hard copy that we would give you because I think it would be unique to your business. For more information, if there was more information needed around the Flight Centre Associates side of things, we have flightcentreassociates.com, so that's there's lots of information around our program there, but not to the tools specific items that you're looking for.
Okay, and so your website, Flight Centre, I want to note to our American colleagues that Centre, I think you spell CENTRE, so to be sure to
we got
type
the RE spelling there, flightcentreassociates.com.
FlightCenterAssociates.com, with center spelled C-E-N-T-R-E. So agents, make a note of that. Lovely spelling. And I think that just about does it for the questions. Many of our agents, I think, are in shocked silence to see, to try to digest all of this information. And again, I just sent everybody information about where they may see this presentation, again, the recording of this presentation. So I know a lot of our agents will be going back to look all of this over and to listen to it multiple times, because there is so much to digest. So agents, do take note of what I've just sent out to everybody. So that said, I think it's time for the prize giveaway now. And how
Yep.
this is going to work is that Lee is going to ask a question, something about the information that he just imparted to all of us. And the first correct answer I see coming across my screen will be the winner. And we will give your information to Lee, who will get in touch with you about claiming the $50 Visa gift card. Just one word of caution, I will not be taking any answers that are typed in before Lee has finished asking the questions. So please, because there's some delays in some parts of the country, so please wait until Lee has completed asking the question before you type in the answer. And Lee, if you're ready, then go ahead with your question.
Absolutely, yes. So a large part of this presentation was around Flight Center's core values, of which there are 5. The question is very simple. Please name 3 of our 5 core values. This is where we should have the Jeopardy music.
Yeah, right. Shall we hum? Let's see. Okay, we have a winner. Let me just make a note of the name. And our winner of the $50 Visa gift card is Eric Zierer. Eric Zierer, congratulations. The 5 core values are our people, our customer, brightness of future, taking responsibility, and egalitarianism and unity. So congratulations to Eric for naming 3 of those 5s. And as I said, we'll give your information to Lee and he'll get in touch with you. This has been just fantastic. Our host for today's webinar has been Flight Center Associates, and our speaker has been Lee Zanello. Lee, thank you so much. This was really fantastic. I appreciate it.
It was excellent to be a part of things, and wish everybody all the best in this busy season.
Thank you. And I'll add my thank you to everyone for attending again today. I know you got a lot out of this, and we appreciate your being here. So please enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.